Hi everyone, it's Scott Allen from the Raw. The Waratahs scored a good first phase try in the second half of their match against the Brumbies last week. With the scrum near the left touchline, the Tars had nearly the whole field to work in. The Brumbies players started on their own goal line. I'll pause the play here to identify the players. Phipps has the ball in hand and is preparing to pass to Foley, who's got two players who'll run decoys for him. Horn, who starts narrow and will run an outline, and Ashley Cooper, who starts wide but will run an inline back at the inside defenders. In between them, Beale's positioned to start a second line of attack, linking up with Folau, who's not in the current frame, and a loafer on the outside. The Brumbies have had time to set their defensive line, and with the scrum starting so far to one side of the field and inside their 22, they've got a full back line to defend with, as no one has to hold back out of the line to cover a kick. Rathbone's on the inside, then Leolifano, Iona, and Spate, who was playing at number 13 by then. Outside him is Coleman, and Mogg is on the end of the line, but not currently in the frame. When we look at how it's set up from behind the Tars, it's noticeable how narrow they're starting to encourage the Brumbies to also defend narrow. The Tars are hoping that sets up a wide play for Folau and a loafer. Of course, if the Brumbies overcommit to the wide channels too early, Folau can straighten up and attack through the middle where there should be space. The key players at this stage are Foley and the two decoy runners in Horn and Ashley Cooper. Let's have a look at their roles in more detail. Looking at the setup from overhead, I'll start by highlighting the decoy lines to be run by Ashley Cooper and Horn. Ashley Cooper will run back towards the inside defenders, and his line's designed to hold Iona from drifting out. Ashley Cooper will run his line first, as the ball has to be passed behind him, so he needs to get far enough forward so as not to impede the pass. Foley takes the ball towards the line, which also helps to hold the inside defenders in midfield. Horn will run from behind Foley and out towards Spate to try and attract him. I showed you earlier in the week the importance of how Horn ran his decoy line, with hands up looking like he was a genuine option to receive the ball. As the decoys make their run, the ball will be passed behind Ashley Cooper and in front of Horn out to Beale. If the decoys attract Iona and Spate, the second line Beale forms with Folau and a loafer will be running at Coleman and Mogg, who will be slightly isolated. Already you can see that the second line of attack is formed, and with Folau in midfield the threat's obvious. Beale's movement is primarily sideways, but that's what's required. I know it's normally important for players to attack as straight as possible, but there are plenty of occasions where running sideways opens up opportunities for players out wider. Beale also knows that the space is out wide, and he's got to keep the ball in his hands for as short a time as possible. It's not just a case of get it to Folau as quickly as possible. It wouldn't matter who was outside of Beale. They need as much time as possible to go at Coleman and Mogg to try and cause confusion in the defence. Once Folau had the ball, Coleman and Mogg would have been on high alert, but with space outside a loafer, Mogg has to trust Coleman to deal with Folau so that Mogg can keep pushing out on a loafer. It's a very similar situation to the one I showed you from the Wallabies' second test against France, where Tamua was the inside man and Cummins was on the outside. On that occasion, Tamua and Cummins got it right. Cummins kept pushing out and Tamua came across to make the tackle from the inside. On this occasion, Mogg hesitates and thinks about coming in to help Coleman deal with Folau. Both Coleman and Mogg start working backwards to buy themselves some time to work out what they're going to do, but with Mogg turning in towards Folau slightly, he leaves it too late to start pushing out onto a loafer. A loafer continues running out towards the touchline, and when he gets the pass from Folau, he's outside Mogg and races for the corner to score the try. It was a well-constructed play, but poorly defended by Mogg in particular. However, the disruption to the Brumbies' backline before and during the match wouldn't have helped. As we roll the footage on here, you can see the point where Mogg turns in towards Folau and then can't correct his mistake fast enough. It wasn't a case of being beaten for pace, it was a case of starting his run out too late, and that's what gave a loafer the advantage. From the camera in the corner, we get another angle of how it unfolded. It's a common mistake made by players on the end of the defensive line, whether they're a winger or a fullback. They can't afford to turn in, they have to trust the man on the inside and keep pushing out to the outside attacker.